Okay, my name is James Williams Jr. This is Kung Fu Havoc number 2, and this is my Mass Effect Andromeda Batarian theory, which is probably completely wrong and out of the way, but we're going to do it anyway because I'm just playing my Mass Effect game. So apparently there's some Batarians in the game, which means there possibly might be a Korean DLC. Maybe, maybe not. We're going to find out soon. Hopefully, really soon. Hopefully, my game will be back within the next 2 or 3 weeks, and I'll be able to play the damn thing. Until then, I'm gonna start writing my graphic novel tomorrow, because tomorrow's Friday. I don't have any big plans for the weekend other than to get started. So American Kono Week will be what I'll be working on. While I also look for that phone number for those online guys, so I can try to get my stuff out there published. All right, so here we go. So you have 4 or 5 arcs, maybe even a 6th arc that has possibly made it into Andromeda. Alright, so you know this if you've watched the trailer, you know, for the Andromeda Initiative. Alright, if I could have video, I would have video, which I don't. I don't want to stop, pause, and do all that because this thing doesn't, one, have a pause, and 2, it's going to be what it's going to be. Alright, so according to the internet, the Solarians gave the Batarians a free ride. Only 2 Batarians, supposedly. Now I'm thinking to myself, that's some bullshit. Because why would you only send 2 unless it's female and male instead of 2 males? And yes, females can be pirates. It is the future. And in the future, women would probably be the dominant species to begin with. You know, because you need women to keep the species alive unless you're a Solarian and you're really good at cloning. We're making diversity in clones. Please don't touch that. Anyway, I told you not to touch that. You're never going to know what it does. Please don't touch that. Fine. Touch it all you like. The Solarian Union requested you kindly stop touching that. Anyway, sorry. I had to do that. So, I'm thinking to myself, alright, well, you have 2 Batarians who came either on a Quarren arc or the Solarian arc. Now, we don't know what exactly is on the Quarren arc. We don't know if Fortune made it. We do know that about 3% of the life forms engaged in this are mentioned, which means the Drill, the Hanar, the Volus, the Quarians. That's pretty much all they named in that little radio transmitter. Spoiler alert or whatever. Yes, in case you haven't played the game, there's your spoiler alert. So we're focusing on Batarians right now because they magically popped into the multiplayer game. So somehow or another, one of the Apex missions leads to the Batarians. So I'm gonna have to go play some Apex missions when I get my damn game back. So in closing and all that, Batarians, blind drink it or I'll blind you one eye at a time. Best line ever in game 2. The guy tried to poison me. He won't expect you to show up. Kick his ass for me. I have a drink. Hey, you look familiar. Oh, no, it can't be. All you humans look alike. Drink it. Drink it. What? You don't mean. Drink it, or I'll blind you one eye at a time. Which is awesome, since they have 4 eyes. It's cool. If you guys don't remember that in the trilogy, you guys need to be slapped twice. You'll need to understand both sides of the palms of my hand. The front palm and the back side. So, anyway, we have Batarians in Andromeda. Isn't that amazing? So we don't know if they came on the Solarian ship, or better yet, let's say that they did come on the Solarian ship because it's all over the internet that they came on the Solarian ship. But we only know that there's 2 of them, which I find incredibly hard to believe that only 2 Batarians would find their way into Andromeda. I mean, Batarians, they're some badasses. So, like Krogan, probably not as tough, but there's some badasses. So I'm pretty sure that there was more. So I'm going to theorize on some things. Oh, you guys didn't notice this was just the intro? I'm sorry. We're only 4 minutes and 38 seconds in. So this is only the intro. So here we have the Nexus. We don't really know if there were any Batarians secretly put on the Nexus. We only know from internet rumors that they were on the Solarian arc. Alright, so that's out of the way. But here's my thing. and I'm gonna ask you guys this. I want you to think about this before you like write comments or call the relevancy or whatever. But this is very relevant. I'm pretty sure that every arc had to have Asari pilots. Alright? And you're probably thinking, why would you say that, James? Because the Asari and the Krogan are the longest living, and the Turians are the longest living species of the Milky Way galaxy. They outlive us, and they pretty much outlive everything else. So, we're going to take a 600-year journey to another galaxy. Alright? Now, for those who don't know, let me explain the difference between a galaxy and a universe. Alright? This is a galaxy. This is a universe. The galaxy fits into the universe, which is apparently somewhere that the people who wrote Mass Effect like had this big clusterfuck and fucked up. A better description is that picture of that dragon is a galaxy, and this big ass yellow wall that surrounds my whole room is the universe. Now, do you get the picture? A universe is forever expanding. A galaxy is one little spot in the universe that we live in. We personally live in the Milky Way. However, we live in the Sol system. If you're into Mass Effect, you understand where that's at. So, that being said, you know, it's got to be a shut off point somewhere. So, let's get real with this. Now, this is why I tell you why we had to have Asari pirates. There has to be more Asari there than anything else. There has to be more Asari on the Nexus. There has to be more Asari on the Asari arc. There has to be more Asari on the human arc. There has to be more Asari on the Solarian and the Quarian arc. And the reason I said this is because lifespan. Alright? Now we all know that the lifespans of Asari is 1,000 years better. Alright? As far as we know, the oldest Krogan alive is Drax. Alright? So, let's keep this real. Who's going to be there to wake up the people when they get there? If you notice, on the Nexus, there were no Asaris there to wake anyone up. So I fail to understand how 14 months in when they arrived, which was 14 months ahead of you guys, how in the hell, or who in the hell, piloted the ship there, woke them up so they could get started reconnecting the Nexus. You know, because it was there built halfway. It was halfway built. And then for 14 months, they got it a fair chunk of shit done in that year and 2 months, or that year and 4 months. Yeah, year and 2 months, because 12 months is a year. I'm sorry, my math was fucked up. I was infantry, like literally. So, in that 14 months, you were still sleeping, and you're on the human arc, Hyperion. So you're traveling. The only Asari you wake up to is Lexi. So someone had to be there to wake Lexi up. For 600 years, someone had to stay awake to guide the ship, to protect the ship, to make sure that no one destroyed you guys on the way out. You know, now my theory on that is simple. You know, it had to be Asari because no one else outlives them. Now, one of the Krogan is rumored that he woke up early and enjoyed the next 60 some odd years on the ship by himself. Play the game, you figure out who it is. He's right there at the outside booth selling shit. So, you know, if you've played the game, then you know who he is. I can't pronounce his name. I know who he is. I can tell you how to get there. He's the guy who the younger Krogan says, "Shut up, old man." That guy. So anyway, now the reason I say the Asari had to do it is generally lifespan. So they probably knew that there were Batarians on one of these arcs. Or maybe the Batarians were on the Nexus and they got kicked off, or they got woken up first and they bailed before anybody else would even notice them. It's hard to say. However, every arc has a SAM and a Pathfinder unit. And now, the Nexus does not have a SAM. Okay, now when you crash the Hyperion on Meridian, spoiler alert, sorry, you still have your SAM there. The downside is that you can't go to the Cryo Bay, which is on the Hyperion. Doesn't make sense, but yeah, it was on the Hyperion, and you can't go back to it once the game's over, because it's no longer on the Nexus. So something is amiss somewhere. Now, you think about that, and you think about the Batarians, and you think about, well, that's a 630 some odd year through dark space into another galaxy, and the star that lights them is pretty much a dark star, but it's light on every planet, so that's kind of confusing. And it's hot as fuck on Eladin, where there is no sun at all. Now, when you're going through all this, you're thinking to yourself, oh, how did we get here safely without someone to protect us? Henceforth, Asari Commandos had 3 pilots to get all 4 or 5 of the arcs there. Otherwise, it wouldn't make logical sense that you guys slept undisturbed in space travel. You're coming from a galaxy that's about to go to war, and no Reaper saw you guys leave, and the nations had to be brought together by Shepard to save all this, and you guys leave just before the shit happens, you know. So I'm like, okay, well, how'd you guys get there? You had to take the last relay out, but which relay did you take? Because we all know in part 2, the arrival, the Alpha relay was destroyed, so you had to take some relay. So either you took the Alpha relay way before Shepard took off, because that was the doorway into the back world. Plus, it was the Batarians, which would make sense. The Batarians could have got on board on your way out before Shepard did the Shepard thing, you know. Now, you don't have to agree with this, and I understand if you don't, but as a person of logic thinking, because I do think logically, you might not agree with me, but I think logically, honestly, if you're going to go to another world where you're leaving a world, you're taking the Noah Ark approach to this whole thing, alright, you have to think about protection. Noah didn't have to worry about protection because there were no aliens on Earth attacking him while he was saving his wife, his children, and 2 animals of every species which God guided to him. So you're on the Arks and the Nexus. Someone has to keep you guys alive, or Andromeda is not going to happen. So logically, I'd say the Asari Commandos were probably the majority of the Asari race, was probably there to keep you guys alive, and probably before they put themselves in stasis or before they die or whatever, they probably woke up the assigned person who's assigned to wake everyone up on your destination arrival. However, I have no tangible proof of that, and this was supposed to be about Batarians, but I turned this thing into a Batarian and Asari and how the hell did we get there in a One Piece video. So now that I got that out of the way, what do you guys think? How did you get into Andromeda without running into trouble in space? No. You have over 20,000 people on each arc sleeping. So 20,000 humans on the Hyperion. 20,000 humans on the 20,000 Solarians on the Solarian arc. 20,000 who the hell am I missing? Taurians on the Taurian arc. And then you have a big ass bulk of a community on the Hyperion. We don't even know how many people are actually on the Hyperion. It's a little more than 20,000 because they were expecting to get there and the worlds would be perfect, which clearly it wasn't. But, you know, thanks to the writers, that's going to happen. But, you know, for the whole sake of argument, you don't know how many Quarians was on their arc. If the Quarians' arc was not built from scrap, if it was actually an arc, then they could have had 15,000 Quarians, or 5,000 Quarians, 5,000 Volus, 5,000 Drill, 5,000 Hanar, and that's 20 right there. No. So you can do that, and then you could probably add whoever else, and I would go between the numbers of 5 and 3,000, because if you do threes, you'll probably come up over or under by at least 1, depending on your math. If you do 5, you'll get 20,000 people in there before you even can count to 20,000, and then some people are just going to be out back. And you know, there's a cryo bay on each ship with 20,000 in there, but you have to count aboard for who took care of that 20,000 on your fucking journey for 600 years. And again, I would have to give that to the Asari Commandos because they live the longest. Plus, they're the most deadliest trained. Now, while you guys are debating that, I just want to say, I hope that somebody at BioWare gives us at least 3 DLCs, just in case you guys are going to shelf Mass Effect, which I don't think you should. I think you should explore these ideas for DLCs. A flashback DLC with Alec Ryder before he becomes a Pathfinder, when he's at the N7 and the First Contact War. That would be great. So you can be Alec Ryder, so that we can get to know Alec Ryder for at least one whole moment, you know, and you can either have it done as it literally being Alec Ryder, or it being Sarah or Scott reliving the memories of Alec Ryder, or they're just going through a certain spot, you know, go to somewhere on Meridian and maybe get a jolt by the computer, or maybe Sam has a kill switch protocol, and it doesn't kill Sam, but it gives her every bit of memory that Alex has ever lived through, and that will solve that. But make it a DLC and give them a couple of adventures on it, you know, like a whole 4 hour DLC adventure, and that's one. And also that would lead to how he became a Pathfinder, etc., etc. All right, now second DLC would be that Korean Arc DLC. Make that like a 6 or 7 hour DLC to add on to what we have, so we can have an aftermath, since you guys didn't really do an aftermath for the DLC for the trilogy. Now, after that, I would say probably want another DLC that involves clothing, weapons, and pets. Now, this is my personal favorite because we should be able to have fish. We should be able to have more than that one little jumpsuit that you can only change the colors on, because that was a royal fuck. That's like the only real complaint that I have, where if you're shepherd, male or female, you have 5 outfits, unless you have a PC where you can like mod that bitch to hell. So we should have a DLC where we can mod our shit. So if we want Femme Rider to run around butt ass naked or in a thong, we should be able to have that. We want Male Rider to run around in this jumpsuit and a pair of boxer shorts or something and a thong. Yeah, that's cool for you guys who want to see a dude in a thong. Not cool for me, but at least a decent pair of boxer briefs and maybe a tank top and a real short sleeve shirt, so there's some shit that's down here at Heat Cat 5. For those who have served at Fort Benning, Georgia, you know exactly what the fuck Heat Cat 5 is. This is not a short sleeve shirt. This is a short sleeve shirt. Or even give them like a muscle shirt. You know, give them options of shoes and clothing and shit. And we should be able to wear our suit off of the Nexus and off of the Tempest. Wherever we go, we should be able to wear those clothes like permanently. And then as for armor, we should have better options with the armor and fixing it instead of having to bust our ass trying to break our shit to get them. And we should have those classic armors that Shepard has, because my favorite one is the one with the regular pants and not the goddamn spandex crap. No, even though spandex is probably easier to run because it cups your shit. When you're a dude, if you ever wore spandex or that shit that like sucks it up right there so that your shit won't fling from side to side while you're running. I can only speak from a man's perspective. I'm not a chick, so I don't know what it would do for a girl, but as a dude who loves chicks, you know, I like to have my shit supported very well. So if I'm in a run or if I'm in a fight, I don't have to worry about my shit getting in my way. Okay, by shit I mean penis, not bowel movement. Then we can have like maybe a couple more DLCs that add other shit to the game, you know, extra side missions, you know, so that we don't just have to play multiplayer, but we can have side missions on DLCs in case we miss something. Like there's maybe instant map solving DLC, so that we don't have to pay $30 for the book. We should have an instant map solving DLC, so you can go in there and you can inject that into the game. So instant map, so whenever riders go to a map, puzzles or whatever, they can do that without having to like keep getting attacked by shit. And there's so many more things that you can possibly explore that DLC thing. So I'm going to close out with this. We have Batarians in the game, which means we also have a chance that there's maybe more than 2 Batarians. Maybe there's 4 Batarians. And they'll, how did they get there? We will know if they give us a DLC, hopefully, or a few DLCs. Come on, BioWare. Mass Effect is worth saving. So, if you guys don't want to save it, then give me a job and let me be in charge of making maybe 6 or 7 DLCs to end all of it. That way we can have one full story. So if you guys never want to make another Mass Effect game, at least give us something to be a full story. And please listen to us, not like you did with the bloody trilogy. And granted, the trilogy was a great game, just the ending sucked. And if you're going to remaster that, please give us the endings that was promised. I'm James Williams Jr. This is Comfort Habit number 2. Be seeing you. And by the way, if you're going to do the trilogy, I beg you, please give us a trilogy with one last DLC, Aftermath, Request for Shepard, or The Search for Shepard, like since I'm a Star Trek fan, The Search for Spock, The Search for Shepard, that would be fucking awesome. Alright, anyway, back to the Andromeda thing. Give us at least 4 DLCs with that, each one about 10 hours long, fill out the whole game. Give us extra story missions, extra missions on how certain people got to certain places and things like that, and that would be great. And again, we have Batarians in Andromeda. I'm James Williams Jr. This is Comfort Habit number 2. Be seeing you. Did it stop? No, it didn't.